Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. And it's Christmas Eve, so that means we're going to do one of the kind of antique ales today. Now, I was a bit kind of apprehensive, concerned. Not so much probably for this one, but I'm definitely more concerned for the one I'll be doing tomorrow. But today we're going to be doing, as I've already obviously, if you've been watching the videos, I kind of informed you. So basically we're doing an Imperial Russian Stout, and it's the important one. Get it right there, front forward. Now, this beer was donated by Adrian, and it's 10% alcohol per volume. It's 275ml bottle. It's number 128,468 of the 210,000 that were actually made. It's a 2012 vintage. It's, let's just see what it says. So this is a Courage Imperial Russian Stout. Enjoys a rich espresso body with pear overtones and an intriguing, fresh, smoky, fruity finish. Now with pear overtones, most of that's going to be coming from esters, which is basically generated by the yeast. And if there's too many esters and you're getting pear flavours, it's usually classed as bad kind of brewing. So this is an interesting one. And of course it is basically as originally brewed in 1795 for Catherine the Great of Russia, apparently. Brewed to perfection only once a year, enjoy now or allowed to mature for up to 13 years, which is interesting because of course we're now in basically December 22, so it's still within its kind of remit, because it's only 10 years old, and that's really it. And of course, is there anything else? Nothing really. So that's what we'll be doing, but also as a balance and also as a potential mouthwash if this is really quite bad, Adrian donated another beer. So we've got a Yeastie Boys Pot Kettle Black, a South Pacific Porter. So we'll try that out. So as a case, we have a kind of an American style porter versus an Imperial Russian Stout. And the details of this is 6%, so it's obviously a lot less than the Russian Imperial Stout. It's a 33ml can, and it says fresh and hoppy yet rich and black, mind-bendingly delicious, and a true original. It's amazing how everything's always a true original. Apparently that's important. Being original seems to be more important than actually making a good beer, which is a bit strange because you think making a good beer would be more important, but apparently originality is the key to success, apparently. And that's really it. So what we'll do is, we'll just catch this again. There we go. So that's that. So let's crack it open and find out. Oh, Jesus. Well, that was a good leap. So that's quite good. Pretty good. What's going on with this bloody glass? It's so dirty. Ah, fuck. That one's clean. That one's not. I'll be back in a moment. Shut up, bastards. Right, that can go in there. Fucking dishwasher. Right. Oh, there's one. Come to daddy. There we go. God, good start. Next time, check the bloody glass before it. Because there we go. I don't know what was stuck in the bottom of that glass, but I'm not impressed with that bloody dishwasher. Anyway, let's pour this out and we'll see what happens. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Fucking hell. Right, so I'll let that sit. Jesus. While I pour this one. Because there's no way I'm drinking that first without having something else sitting in the glass. Oh, Jesus. Oh, fucking balls. Right, let's get this poured now. There we go. Right. Those are trousers. Fuck. Right, so yes. Now, let's compare these, eh? Right. So yeah, there we go. So, let's see what this smells like. This is Imperial Stout. Right, it smells of, do you know what, it has hints of Bovril from it, it really does, it actually hints. If you're outside the UK, you wonder what Bovril is. Bovril was a kind of a beef flavoured kind of hot drink. It's a slightly savoury beef flavoured kind of hot drink that you'd have, and you'd maybe add a little bit of pepper to it, but it wasn't really beef, but it's a case that it was kind of beef flavoured from that point of view, and it's made from, it's very similar to a kind of a stock kind of cube system, so it could either be made with a powder, or I think one of the ones you used to also get. Bovril originally wasn't a powder, but then it became a powder when you were at the kind of football grounds. You basically get these pre-made cups and you just add water for them, and that would give you your hot Bovril kind of drink for the football. You'd have a pint of Bovril. But the original kind of Bovril was actually a jar. It was a kind of thick, gloopy liquid. You just take a big teaspoon of this kind of really thick kind of paste. How the hell did it? I should have kept my mouth shut, for God's sake. I mean, I'm into a wee tangent already and I've only just had one sniff. But yes, you would take a teaspoon of this paste, put it in a cup, pour in boiling water, mix it around until it kind of dissolves into the water, and there you go. And add pepper to taste. And there you go. You wouldn't really add salt so much because it's kind of fairly salty in me, but you never know, maybe some people did. But anyway, yeah, there's a bit of, there is some malt there. There's a kind of real thick kind of molassesy kind of smell, so there's a kind of thick molasses smell, but so basically it's bordering on the kind of Bovril smell because of that. But yeah, and yeah, you do get alcohol vapours as well, so you get a little twang of ethanol vapours going up the nose, and there's a surprise. So, thanks, AJ. Crikey. Right, let's give it a go. Oh, fucking hell. Oh. Now, I just want to show you the inside of the cap, because obviously there's a seal on. Bloody hell. Fuck. Oh. Inside of the cap you can probably see that there's kind of distortion and bubbling of the kind of and I'll seal. Jesus Christ. Oh, that's a gift that keeps on giving. Jesus God. Right. The flavours are all over the place. Fucking hell. The first flavour you really get is if you just stuck your tongue in the treacle jar. You know, the old, Jesus. I'll be back in a minute. Jesus God. Oh. Right. Fucking hell. This is what it tastes like. This is the first flavour you get. And it's almost as if, like, you know, it's been liquefied. It's been thinned down, and boom, you're getting all the flavour in a drinkable format. That's what it's basically like. So it's like black treacle. What did they say in the fucking barrel? Jesus God. I can understand the espresso. It does feel like it's a kind of... Fucking hell. I hope to God it wasn't meant to taste like that when it was originally brewed. But you never know. Jesus, this was a Courage beer. So it was. Bloody hell. That's just not real. That is just not real. There's carbonation there. Bloody hell. It's better. It's better, all right. Jesus God. But just a really sickening molasses flavour to start with in the start of the mouth. I'm going to have to break this down, and I'll have to take little sips just to kind of do it, because to try and acclimatise to this is quite difficult. Because the flavours are absolute. I'm going to try and see if we can. I mean, it is flat on the witch's tit, as you can see. I wonder why you got that kind of saying, flat as a witch's tit. I wonder the first person to notice that was. What were they doing, he or she? What were they up to notice that? Right, start of the mouth. Jesus God. It's a real belter of a molasses flavour. Slightly better. But just kind of coming in underlying that, you do have a kind of coffee thing, but the coffee is just so bitter and savoury. It's bordering on almost kind of like Bovril, like as if you get your tongue in the Bovril jar. You know, you've licked a spoon after. You know, you've taken Bovril out, like, and God, I'm not looking forward to tomorrow, by the way. God, if this was supposed to be the better of the two, or potentially the better of the two, fucking hell. I do apologise for my wind. But yes, mid-tongue. It's hard to distinguish a mid-tongue. Right, your mid-tongue kind of constitutes a slight rest period, and I say slightly because what it does is you kind of molasses and coffee flavour kind of die down a little bit, but they're still fucking there. They're still there, and they're still quite in your face, and still quite managing to remain as offensive as they did when you took your first sip at the front of the mouth. So, front of the mouth, predominantly kind of sensation that's offensive. Going on to the mid-tongue, which is the case as though it's still bloody offensive, but not quite as offensive as it was at the start. Oh, and then you move on to, this is the best one though. This is a unique aftertaste. And not in a good way. Jesus God. Oh, yep, there you go. So, gets onto the kind of aftertaste. And what happens is any form of sweetness coming from the treacle kind of flavours, it's buggered off. It's like, I'm out of here. And all you've got is a kind of the bitterness of the kind of treacle remaining, backed up by this really kind of bittery, kind of coffee ground kind of flavour. And then over the top of that, you've got the ethanol going, you know what I mean, which just makes it even more kind of intense and even more offensive and unpleasant than you thought it could be. So start of the mouth, it's really offensive. Mid-tongue, it's still quite offensive, but not as offensive at the start. But then kind of starts to kind of ramp itself back up to become quite offensive again. With the aftertaste. Oh, Jesus, that's a challenge. I'll give it, that is a bloody challenge. Now, they did say, now, that brewed to perfection only once a year. Thank God. Thank God, they only brew it once a year. Jesus God. Enjoy now. Enjoy now. You're ripping the piss. Or allowed to mature for up to 13 years. So they actually think, I mean, when they say, does it get better, does that mean it actually gets worse? I mean, bloody hell. I mean, I must have really hated Catherine the Great if they're brewing it for her. But yeah, that's a difficult one to drink. Oh, Jesus God. The scary thing, if I hold it in my mouth and put my tongue in, you can feel there's carbonation there. It doesn't taste particularly flat. It's not obviously well carbonated, but there is carbonation there, so it hasn't lost its carbonation. That's a difficult one to drink, it really is. That is not pleasant. Out of 10, what would I give it? For originality, I would give it a 7 or an 8. It's quite original. On the flavour point, we would have to give it a 1. It's quite one-dimensional in its flavour profile. Well, you could probably say two-dimensional in some ways, but the two kind of go hand in hand. They don't separate really. You got molasses and you got really bitter coffee, really kind of burnt, bitter kind of coffee. They call it an espresso. Put it this way, if you had an espresso that tasted like that, trust me, that coffee shop would be out of business probably in the first couple of days. You know, it really is that really kind of bad. So yes, 8 for originality, 1 for flavour, 1 for enjoyment, because it's not pleasurable at all. Overall, if you bring them all together, yeah, it's got to be a 1 out of 10, really. And that one's probably for the originality, and I'm giving absolutely bugger all for the rest of it. The smell is weird. The smell also has little hints of, it's almost like menthol. It just has like accents of the menthol coming off, just because of obviously getting the alcohol vapours, but as the alcohol vapours are coming through, it's kind of dragging something from the rest of this concoction. It is. And when I said it's flat as a witch's tit, it's probably tastes like a witch's brew as well. Right, anyway, let's try the Yeastie Boys. I've got a funny feeling this is going to be quite good. If it isn't really. But, oh, there we go, there's some smells. I'm getting some hops there, getting some floral, almost kind of Turkish delight kind of smell. Little hints of malt, but not much. Mostly hops, maybe a little bit of sweetness, but yeah, it's mostly kind of floral hops, almost. Yeah, it's like that kind of Turkish delight smell. And that's it. And you can see, this is what it looks like. So let's see what it tastes like. Right, okay. It's not so bad, this. Right. Right, what did they say about this? Fresh and hoppy. Right. There's a reason why original stouts weren't strongly hopped. There was a reason for that. Because the flavour profiles tend to kind of clash. The kind of the dark roasted malts and the heavy roasted kind of grains that go to make a stout. The flavours tend to clash with the kind of stronger hoppy flavours. And that's exactly what you've got here. It clashes. More carbonated than the Russian Imperial Stout. But it's not particularly pleasant, I'll give it that. It's not as offensive as the Russian. It's hard to believe I'm doing this on Christmas Eve. Well, you're going to have to start kind of looking at my life choices, for God's sake. This actually, a couple of months ago, I'm not talking about this drink, I'm talking about the Imperial, Russian Imperial Stout, was a good idea. I thought, that's something a bit different. No, I can go with that, that's a good idea, Grail. Yeah, it's one of those kind of management kind of situations where in the planning stage everything sounds absolutely wonderful, but then during the implementation stage you kind of realise you should just spend a heck of a lot more time planning and maybe come to a conclusion of this project isn't going to work too well. But yes, and I maybe should have picked a better beer to use as a how would you say, a palate cleanser, because this isn't a palate cleanser in any way, shape or form. Right. Okay. To start off with, you're getting this dark, really dark roasted malt, so you're getting kind of that kind of molasses flavour. Then on top of that, you're getting quite heavy floral hops on top of it. And it's the best way to describe it is imagine two people trying to get into a single sleeping bag. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. We know that. You're not really going to get a draw in that scenario. But the problem is it's hard to tell who's going to win. That's what this is like. You've got two kind of strong flavours that are clashing together and fighting each other, and right now it's a case of at the start of the mouth you're not really sure who's going to win. They both have potential. And that's not a good way to start any drink. That flavours are really clashing together, and never mind a beer. So yeah, so from the Yeastie Boys, the first thing you're getting is conflict at the start of the mouth. Let's move on to the mid-tongue. Mid-tongue, the kind of molasses kind of dies down, but there seems to be that the rosy, kind of the rose kind of accent intensifies in the mid-tongue. When you do get this kind of, it's like almost dark chocolate with the kind of Turkish delight kind of rosy kind of accent, and that's what it basically is on the mid-tongue. It's really kind of dark bitter chocolate encapsulating a strong kind of rosy Turkish delight kind of flavour, which sounds nicer than what it really is, because imagine it's really bitter dark chocolate to the point as it's really kind of unpleasant. It really is too bitter from that point of view, but then you've got this really kind of off-putting kind of rosy accent there that again just it's too strong again. And I mean, I do like strong flavoured beers, but these two again, they're sitting on top of each other rather than kind of merging and blending together. They're not working, it's not a balance in any way, shape or form. It's like, so you've got a different style conflict at the start of the mouth, which then moves on to a kind of different style conflict in the mid-tongue. Then we have the wonderful aftertaste of it's a strange one, because it goes off from the mid-tongue, and then the first thing you get as it moves into the mid-tongue, the hoppiness kind of dies down, so the rosy kind of flavour dies down, and so does the kind of dark chocolate bitterness. It kind of dies down, and you get this kind of strange kind of malty sweetness from nowhere. So you get this malty sweetness from nowhere, kind of appearing just as you're swallowing, and then just after you've swallowed, the real main aftertaste you're getting is the bitterness comes back, the real kind of dark chocolate, really kind of sour bitterness comes back, and it just kind of sits there, and it's kind of coated your whole mouth. So you've got at the back of your mouth sitting with this kind of really kind of sour bitterness, but you'll notice it's also kind of on the roof of your mouth and on your tongue, and it just seems to be kind of everywhere. It's like it's kind of comes from the back of the mouth, and then it just kind of starts to kind of fill the mouth, and you're kind of sitting thinking, that's not very nice. I don't know where the sweetness has come from, because there really isn't that much sweetness in the start of the mouth or the mid-tongue, so I don't know where the hell that's come. That's really as a late bloomer for a start. And I don't like it. I just think this is, I mean, I don't like this. Oh, I don't even like how that smells. It just does not smell right at all. And it's very kind of syrupy in flavour, as if like it's a concentrate. This one just feels like they're trying too hard. It might have been okay if you didn't have the hops on it and allowed the malt to kind of develop its own kind of foundation, but no, you've kind of really spoilt it by trying to make two drinks out of one, whereas you'd been better off just leaving it as a more kind of normal traditional stout, and you might have got away with it. The hops don't add anything, in fact it just detracts from it and just kind of makes it more unpleasant, whereas you could have probably found better attributes if you just, if, you know, out of this beer, if you just left it as is. So out of 10, what would I give Yeastie Boys Pot Kettle Black? I don't like beers that clash. I mean, my idea of a good beer is, it doesn't even whether I actually like the taste, because everybody is kind of subjective towards tastes, and sometimes some flavours work for people and other times these same flavours are completely abhorrent to other people. So the flavour bit is kind of subjective to what you like and what you don't like, and everybody's different. But if you take it from the point of view from brewing, my attitude towards brewing a beer is there should be a balance to it. And I've said this plenty of times before. There should be a balance to it within the kind of range of flavour profiles and how they work, but also how the individual flavours work together. And they've got to be balanced together as well as overall from a front, a middle, and an aftertaste. And you've got to get all of them right. And it just seems to be that they haven't really got the kind of the front, middle, and aftertaste balance right. And the individual flavours are clashing as well, and they just don't marry, they just don't go well together. They kind of, like I say, there's a conflict. And there's a conflict in the, especially at the front of the mouth and in the mid-tongue. Less of a conflict in the aftertaste, but the aftertaste itself, just by how the flavours are, isn't particularly pleasant either. So, out of 10, I'm going to have to give this, I'm going to give it a 2. I'm going to give it a 2. Because I think it's a case as though I don't mind dark chocolate bitterness. I don't mind that. And I think if that was left alone without all the kind of hops on top of it, it could have made it obviously a lot more drinkable, and I have no problem with bitterness. I like bitterness. But it just, there's too many flavours going on there that just don't get on very well. And yeah, the best I can give it is a 2 out of 10. Would I recommend it? If you're into hops and you're basically, hop blind basically, all that matters. If you taste hops and you're happy, then yeah, give this a go. You might like it. If you like more kind of traditional stouts and you're into kind of porters and all this type of stuff, then you probably won't like this, because it's trying to reinvent the wheel but using a set square. You're not going to get a smooth ride with this at all. It's just, as I always say, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And this is another example of beer companies thinking, well, we can, so we should. Whereas me as a drinker is looking at it thinking, well, yes, you can, but you really shouldn't have. It's quite offensive. 2 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend it, but at the end of the day, people are different, and people do like these kind of hops. If you like the flavour of a porter or a stout, then you're going to struggle to get this. You'll get some flavours that you might like, but you'll be struggling to enjoy it as a drink overall. So, I'll take one more sip of this before it goes down the sink. Let's go down the sink as well. Do you know what? Here's a strange thing. See, after been drinking all this, the flavour of this is actually getting better. This is more cohesive actually. I'm getting a nicer kind of sweetness from this now that I wasn't getting at the start. But after drinking this and this kind of mismatch of bitterness and rosy flavours and floralness and everything else, it's actually improved this. So I'm going to reevaluate this. I gave this a 1 out of, I'm going to give this a same. I'm going to give this a, oh wait a minute, am I? This is nicer now. It really is. Compared to this. This is just... yeah, it's just quite nasty actually. But yeah. This is kind of maybe settled, maybe just because he has been getting round about it and everything else, but it's actually becoming a bit more cohesive. Still as flat as a witch's tip, which again is fine, it's not a huge big problem. And there is some carbonation, you can feel that on the tongue, if you basically on the tip. So there is carbonation there, not particularly much, but there is carbonation there. And it still smells bloody awful though, I'll be totally honest. It's not an appealing smell. And I think maybe because some of the alcohol has maybe evaporated a bit, that's probably helped it, to be totally honest. And the actual kind of ethanol isn't playing such a big part in it, as it's because this is 10%. And it's just kind of mellowed a bit. And I gave it a 1 out of 10, and I'm going to give it a bit more than that. Not my favourite flavour profiles, but the flavour profiles have become a lot more pleasant than they were at the start. They were quite dreadful and quite horrific at the start, but it has actually settled down. And strangely enough, I'm starting to get a little bit of head and all that type of stuff, so maybe it's just a little bit of aeration is helping it, as you can see now. I wasn't really getting so much of that. That's why sometimes aerating it and letting it settle and everything else. I suppose if you've been cooped up there for 10 years in the same in a little bottle like this, I think just basically needs a bit of time to kind of stretch its legs a bit. Right, out of 10 would I give this now? Strange one now. It really is a strange one because it's almost like a different drink. And that just shows you, no matter how much you know about drinking and beers and everything else, every day of the school day we're all learning. And with this has changed quite dramatically. So it's no longer a 1. There's a more positive point to this. I'm going to actually give this, because it is actually drinkable now. And it has little flavour profiles of like kind of, I don't know, Jacobin Premium, which is a dark Russian beer from the Jacobin Brewery in Moscow. And there's little accent flavours that maybe feel that might be down to its age and just maybe down to the kind of quality of the seal of the bottle and that type of stuff. So it's actually not too bad now, it's actually quite drinkable. I'm going to change this. I'm going to give this a 4. Or is it a 3? It's kind of borderline 3 and 4. But seeing as it's Christmas Eve, I'll be generous and I'm going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. It has dramatically improved. And I don't know obviously how much this has basically kind of acclimatised the mouth to kind of off flavours, which then realise that the off flavours in this are not as bad as the off flavours in that. So yeah. So, the Russian Imperial Stout from Courage, which is 10 years old and been maturing in the bottle, gets a 4 out of 5. Borderline, maybe 3, but it's Christmas time, so I'm going to give it a 4. This, it's just not pleasant. It gets 2 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend it, but hey, give it a go if you want to suffer. Going from that to that still just tastes really quite often bad. So, I will be back tomorrow. I know obviously it's a busy day for everybody tomorrow, and if people want to watch, then yep, feel free to do so. I understand if you don't get a chance to do it because it's a busy day. So, have a Merry Christmas, have a wonderful day tomorrow. I'll be back with a Jubilee ale that I've got it here. That is actually from, I like the kind of, how would you say, patina on the bottle. But yes, this is from 1957. It does look like it's lost some of its contents. Now, if that was in Scotland, they'd say to the angels. It's given up its angel share. I think it's probably given, or maybe some of it's been given up to let a little bit of the devil in, as they say. This is a Tolley's Jubilee Ale. We'll be doing this tomorrow. I will be doing another beer alongside it as a safety net. But I will probably do it with something not particularly pleasant either. I have a feeling it's not going to be particularly pleasant, but I'll do it for a laugh and it will be a contrast. So if you do have time tomorrow and you want to watch, feel free to join me. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas Eve, has a wonderful day tomorrow, and thanks for watching. Cheers and bye for now.